Hi, welcome to Video Math Lessons. Tonight we're going to be doing a Math 12 pre-calculus class on polynomials, and we're going to be talking specifically about solving inequalities. So we have some notes that we need to take first. So when we're going to do these inequalities, so they're going to be polynomials, and very similar to what we've been doing, like graphing the equations. We're going to get the roots of our polynomial, and we can do it by factoring, or we can do synthetic division using our calculator and using the rational root theorem to figure out the plus and minuses, which one's potential roots, and checking them as synthetic. What we're going to do after that is we're going to make our sign chart or number line, however you want to call it. And that's going to tell us where the curve's positive and negative, above the x-axis, below the x-axis. We're going to sketch our curve, and then we're going to write our solution. Now, when we're writing our solution, we have to be careful of opens and closed. So watch out for open and closed. And that's just got to be something to be careful of. And that's pretty much our notes. So I'm going to get the roots. If we can factor, we can factor. If not, we have to use calculator and rational root theorem and synthetic and all that stuff. We'll make a sign chart. We'll sketch it, and then we'll do our solution. So let's start. Number one, x cubed minus x squared minus 2x is greater than or equal to 0. All right, so first off, when I see this greater than or equal, I see this can be closed. So that's something you should be aware of. All right, so when we do we're going to write a solution as interval notation, we're going to have closed, and we'll be the brackets. So let's take a look here. This is, I see x's, I can factor this, so I'll take it at x out of everything. So we got x squared minus x minus 2. And factor it again, so it's x minus 2, x plus 1. Don't lose the x that was in the front. And then we just solve each part of these. So my roots that I have are 0, positive 2, and negative 1. And what we're looking for are these roots. This is where there's potential for sign change. So that's what we're going to check on our number line. So on my number line, I'm going to graph negative 1, graph a 0, and we're going to graph a 2. Plot 2. And what I'm looking for are positives and negatives. And these were the roots, all right? These would be solid if I was going to, right? This is where it would cross. I need to check these zones. So I got 4 zones here. So what I need to do is I need to pick values. So like something on this side, so let's just say like a negative 2. In the middle, negative 0.5, a 1, and a 3. You can pick any number as long as it's in between. Now, I could just start doing this stuff and, working it out. The decimal is going to be a little tricky. So what we can do is I can use a calculator, and it'll just make it quicker. So I'm just going to turn my calculator on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph this, and I'll look at the table, and I'll do my table values. So here we go. So x cubed minus x squared minus 2x. And I could do the table like this, and for the most part this would work. But what I would want to do is I want a decimal, so I'm going to change my table set to ask, and I'll put in whatever values I want. So now I'll have a blank table, and I'll just plug in these numbers that I picked, right? So I'll just hit negative 2. And now remember, I don't care what the value is, I just care if it's positive or negative. And it's a negative 8, therefore it's a negative. I can punch in negative 0.5. And that gives me a positive 0.625, so that's positive. Plug in, what else am I going to plug in? A 1 and a 3. And I get a negative and a positive. And so this is what I'm going to use to help me sketch. Right? So I haven't even looked at the graph yet. So let's take a look at this. So I have a root at -1, and I have a root at +2. And there's a root at 0. So there's a root here, here, and here. And once again, I haven't looked at the picture yet. So, but when I look at this negative, what that tells me is that it's below. So over here, it's below the x-axis. So something like this, it's below. From here to here, -1 to 0, it's above. So it goes up and comes down. Something like this. Negative for this zone. And then positive, meaning it's just going up like this. And it's a cube, right? So we know one side's going to go up, one side's going down for odds. Let's hit graph and let's just see roughly what this looks like. And that's actually not too shabby. That looks pretty good. Now, let's answer the question. And the question was, when is it greater than 0? Meaning, when is it positive? That's what they're really asking me. Now, I don't really have to graph this thing. I could look at the number line. And I can see it's positive from here to here. And remember, I can equal 0, so this is the zone. And from here to the end. So, -1 to 0. Now, since this is allowed to be equal, I can close it. So it'll be -1 to 0, which is this. This is above the x-axis right there. And then, looking here, 2 up, 2 to infinity. And infinity is always open. And that's the first question. So when is it greater than 0? These two intervals. Let's try it again. All right, a little different. Radical, okay. Now, something you got to remember. Radicals, the inside can't be negative. Right? No imaginaries. So I need to find the root. So the key value here would be a -1. That's my important number here. It's my critical value. And over here is a 3. So those are my numbers I have. -1 and a 3. Now, if I plug in something that's lower than -1, right? So these would be on my number line here, right? These are like the roots. Not like, they are the roots, the zeros. If I go below -1, this is okay over here to the left. But to the right, it's bad. All this over here would be undefined. All right, on your calculator, it'll say error. So I can't go to the left, but I can do to the right. So let's punch this one in, because this is a weird one. We've never seen anything like this. So, but nice and easy. We do everything we know how to do. So x minus 3, and then radical x plus 1. And hit graph. Something crazy here. Let's look at our values first. Let's go to the table. So I need a number in the middle, so I'll pick like a 0. So I'll pick a 0. And I'll need a number over here, like a 4. So I just hit 0, enter. I get -3, so it's negative. And hit 4, enter. It'll go over the old number. It's positive. I don't care what number, it's just positive. So at -1, and then we got 2, 3 here. And let's go back to normal table. So it says -1 is 0. And at 3 it's 0. Those are my roots. And it says in between them it should be negative. That's why it's below. That's why it does this crazy dip down. And then once it hits this, it goes above. And that's what our graph is telling us. So our graph does a little weird thing over here. I don't know why. Let's zoom 6, see what the calculator is. Nope. Still does it. It does close though, so just make sure you understand how to use your calculator. there is a value there. And if I change the window, make it a friendly window, negative 9.4, positive 9.4, it actually does close. Let's try one more. Oh, less than 0. That's this zone right here. So when is the graph below 0? Well, from negative 1 to 3. Now, is it open or closed? Well, I don't want it to equal 0, so I cannot be the roots. So it's open. One more quick one. Absolute value. So let's punch that in. And do absolute value. Press math, scroll over, ABS, x minus 2. Hit graph. Well, that's different. Well, let's look at the values here. So the roots. So I got 0 is a critical value, and 2. These are potential changes. So I got 0 and 2. So I need to check some numbers. So let's go to the table and let's get some numbers here. So like a negative 1, positive 1, and a 3. Negative 1 is negative. 1 is positive, and then it's positive again. It does a double. That, I don't think we've seen that before. So let's go back to the graph on this one. So crosses here at 0, and 2 is my other number. And let's think about this. So on this side it's negative. That's why it's below. And then it goes above somehow. But then it bounces back up. This. That's pretty neat. That's what that means, that plus plus. So if I say, where is it greater than 0? I'm talking about this area here. But now hold on. I can't equal 2 because 2 is a root. So we have to do this in 2 pieces. So it's going to be, what's going to be here? So we can say from 0 to 2. But I don't want to equal 2, right? So it's going to be opens. And then pick up on the other side of 2 again, 2 to infinity. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice night.